You right over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
You're fine?
I'm doing well.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Recovering.
I'm glad to see you dressed up today.
Yeah, thanks. Well, we don't have our wardrobe on. Our
I think
wardrobe person took the day off, so.
Yeah. I think last week I was in a parka. I don't remember
Yeah, I
what
don't
I was
remember.
wearing.
Yeah, just like your pajamas, basically.
I keep forgetting that this gets video recorded.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not just my voice.
No.
So how do you typically, what'd you do this afternoon? You listen to a little Hoobastank?
Always.
A little Linkin Park?
Yeah.
It's your generation's music, right?
Yeah, basically. Yep.
It's just in my mind.
Oh,
you're
like
just
what am I doing with my time?
Yeah,
Just
like
listening
in
to
my mind on a Thursday afternoon, you're like, throwing some Hoobastank.
some crawling in my skin.
A
Some.
little Limp Bizkit, a little Nookie.
Yeah. A little.
Is that your generation or am I off?
No, that's about right. Like,
Yeah.
that was like early 2000s, mid 2000s. Those are like the angst years, late middle school,
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic.
Death Cab for Cutie,
Oh my gosh.
Dashboard Confessional.
You should stop talking now. Before you isolate our entire Swedish audience.
That's right.
We do like Bjork. We do.
That's right.
I think she's Icelandic.
I have no idea.
I messed that up.
No idea.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to know what I did with my afternoon?
What did you do this afternoon?
I took a nap.
Man, that's
I
a good
did.
day.
I took a nap.
How long was your nap?
It was like 28 minutes,
That's
and I felt like a new man
Yep.
after 28 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you know this, but there are some people listening right now that are like 28 minutes. I would be so angry and so ticked off if I only fell asleep for 28 minutes.
Yeah.
In fact, I would feel worse if I tried to take a nap for that long.
Yeah.
But not your people.
Yeah.
Or I should say, not the male members of your people.
Oh yeah. No. We are a napping people for sure. And the thing about those 28-minute naps is right when you wake up, you're like really groggy, at least for me. It's like, oh man, I could definitely sleep more. And then you just give it 5 minutes and like a glass of water and you're like, I am ready to
You're
conquer
like,
it.
oh my gosh, that was fantastic.
Oh,
I
there's a
feel
wall
great.
there? I'm going to run right through
That's
it.
right.
Yeah,
I feel like a new man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. My wife, not a napper. Very angry if she takes a nap. Your
Yeah.
wife?
My wife does like to nap, actually.
She does. But not your mom.
My mom hates to nap. She will not nap under any circumstances.
In fact, if I remember correctly, nothing makes her more angry than to walk into a room and see a Clark male napping midday.
Usually it's fine if 60 minutes haven't elapsed. Once it gets past that, then it's a little bit like, all right.
All right, enough of this.
Is this really still happening? We're like, yes, it is.
It's a great day. Have you, all three of you, ever been napping in the same room?
My father, my brother, and I?
Yeah.
I don't think the same room.
So that's like
Probably like on vacation or something.
it's
in
like
a
three
hotel.
hurricanes converging
That's
in
right.
the same
That's
city.
right.
Yeah.
All of us snoring together in sync.
Yeah.
It'd just be like a white noise machine at that point because we wouldn't be all synced up.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love to nap. Napping's a good thing.
I think people in general have a love-hate relationship,
Yeah.
not just to napping, but to sleep in general.
Yeah, I think so.
And interestingly enough, the article that I sent you is about sleep.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed this article for a number of reasons.
Me too.
And so, basically the article was like a love-hate letter to sleep.
Absolutely.
And it
Yeah.
came at it from a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah.
So, like the introduction to set this up
Mm-hmm.
says this. We basically get the same amount of sleep as we did 50 years ago,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean we're snoozing enough. Approximately 1 in 3 U.S. adults isn't getting the 7 or more, now it used to be 8 or more, they've since changed it to 7, 7 or more daily hours of shut-eye recommended by the CDC,
Yeah.
according to a 2020 poll from the National Sleep Foundation. And even among those who logged good rest at least 6 nights a week, 1/4 say drowsiness still regularly interferes with their life.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but I find that the older I get, the more preoccupied I am with getting good sleep. like my life like orbits around like sleep related things.
Yeah.
You just came out of a season. I know it's better now, but early on with the kid,
Yeah.
not good sleep.
Not good sleep, no.
How'd that affect your day?
For some reason, I've just always been kind of aware that I don't do well. So in high school, I would do all-nighters all the time.
Yeah.
And that wasn't actually because I had
Raves,
enough
glow
work.
sticks,
Yeah,
things
partying.
like that. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, nights in jail,
Yeah,
stuff like
I
that.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. So, no, but, and that was just mainly due to procrastination. And looking in hindsight, it was like, at the time, it was like, oh my gosh, I have so much work to do.
Yeah.
And it was like, I wasted a lot of time
Just
on
procrastinating.
AOL Instant Messenger and MySpace.
Oh, that's good.
And
More
doing stuff with
early 2000s
doing stuff with
references.
my friends and not my homework. And then it was like 9 o'clock would show up and be like, oh man, I should.
Okay, so when you were that age, how do you think, in hindsight, how do you
Yeah.
think you functioned on low sleep back then?
Great. No sleep, not good. Low sleep, pretty
sleep,
good.
pretty
I
good?
think high schoolers in general, that teenagers are like always tired because biologically, physiologically, they actually require more sleep than.
Actually, ideally, they would be up late is what they want to be,
Yeah.
and then sleep in
Sleep
late,
in,
and
right.
that's but unfortunately,
Yeah.
schools
Yeah.
are not geared around that.
No.
That preference.
That's why that first or second period is just it's grind, man.
It's the worst. Yeah.
But pretty well. I mean, me and my friends would often get very little sleep and be tired, but fine. Like go to basketball practice and like go to school all day and like.
Or thinking about doing that now,
I
and
know,
you're
I'm
like,
like, how
you're
do we-
like, no,
How do we do
no,
that?
I don't want to go to the grocery store.
That's right.
Okay, so now, flash
Yeah,
forward,
flash
a decade or so
Yeah.
later.
We have a kid.
You have a
and
kid, and
it's-
how are you functioning now on low sleep?
Well, I definitely don't feel like I could do basketball practice. Let me just say that. No, it's definitely a change, that was really kind of a surprise for me. It was like,
Yeah.
I've always been able to bounce back and,
Yeah.
but man, it really is and even in my 30s, I've noticed different than my late 20s
Yeah.
where,
Yeah.
typically I'd say 90+% of the time I can fall asleep without much trouble, but definitely now, and especially since having a kid, which has been less than a year now, it's different. Things are different, and I have to really be more mindful about it all, and it's kind of annoying.
I haven't talked about this much, but for me, like, I'm just coming on the tail end of a season where I've had like this huge battle with sleep, and specifically, I could not wake up without being in pain in my neck or somewhere in my back.
Yeah.
So like every morning I was waking up with like a different ailment. I'm like, am I having Fight Club in the middle of the
That's
night?
right.
What am I doing? Is my wife okay?
Yeah, right.
I don't. And so like we got it. We ended up buying one of those adjustable bases.
Yeah.
Which nothing makes you feel more old than your teenagers walking in and you're in the sitting up position watching TV. And they're like, would you like me to bring you some applesauce as well, Mom and Dad?
Definitely has a particular look to it. Yeah.
But that helped a lot to
Really?
be able to like adjust my sleeping position.
So is flat not working for you anymore? Is that the issue?
No, I need my head slightly elevated.
Okay.
And in the perfect world, my feet also slightly elevated.
Okay,
So,
interesting.
but
Yeah.
Shannon doesn't like that position, so I live with just the head.
Yeah.
So sometimes when she falls asleep, I'll adjust the
Still
feet.
is it quiet?
Yeah, it's dead quiet.
Well,
yeah,
there
you
go.
can't hear it at all.
You can adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is she flat?
She would prefer, I think, to be flat, but I think she's actually now likes being slightly elevated as well. So I don't know. The other thing is so it's a smart base, so it has built into it every morning you get a sleep score.
There you go.
And one of the things that the article talked about is like the more we obsess about getting rest,
Yeah.
the more elusive it becomes. They actually did a study on this where
Yeah.
they found that like the people who do sleep trackers and all of that, they actually sleep worse.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's just, now in the last 10, 20 years, we have smartphones and
Yeah.
smart mattresses, and
Yeah.
like there's even apps that like track your snoring and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yep, our bed does all of that.
and it's
It's
like
really weird.
It's just like it goes to show the human tendency to like if there's metrics and statistics
wanna measure it.
involved at all, like I want to measure it.
Oh yeah, and Shannon still does. I don't, but Shannon gets up every morning and she's like, so like a good score is like 100. That that's so from
Top
0 to
score,
100,
yeah.
the top score is 100. So
Yep.
you ideally want to be in the 85 to like 95 range.
Sure.
So anyway, she gets up like every morning and she's like, 54, what did, and so she'll actually go through the app and track, like,
Yeah.
I was clearly awake in the 2:35.
That's right.
I think that's when you went to the bathroom. You ruined my sleep
Right.
score.
This is your fault. This should be graded on a curve.
And I'm like, this app is killing us.
That's right.
It's not, we're not going to survive this stupid smart bed.
That's so funny.
As soon as you
Wow.
got here, smart bed, you've been trying to hijack my marriage.
That's right. New things to be mad about that you wouldn't have even
Yeah,
known
you
about.
wouldn't even cared before.
That's
But she
right.
can literally look at it, and it tells her where she was restless or when
Yeah.
she got out of bed and all these kinds of things.
Man, that's
to try and
amazing. Yeah.
optimize your sleep. And the article overall, I think, was taking this like, we're trying all of these things. Like we know that alcohol before bed may make us fall asleep faster, but it actually helps us avoid REM sleep. You know, we're trying to, if you exercise more, it actually helps your sleep. But the problem is Americans are becoming more insular, and
Right.
so that it's not really an option for them to be outdoors as much and expose their bodies to the environment. You know, we want to track it. So if we track it, we think that'll solve it. And
Yep.
clearly, that's actually making it worse.
Yeah, right.
And so, like our obsession with rest and our obsession with sleep, and now clearly there are some people that have sleep abnormalities,
Yep.
sleep maladies. Conditions that actually inhibit the sleep. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is we are clearly not getting the rest that humans used to be able to get, and it
Yeah.
was just like normative, you know.
Yeah.
You're like, well, they were hunting all day
That's
and
right.
tired,
Yeah.
whatever, and I got stuff to do now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the problem, and then we're on our screens until late at night. So instead of getting off of our screens,
Yep.
we opt for blue light filters and
Right.
blue light glasses.
Yeah.
And so in other words, we're willing to kind of do things to get rest, but we're not willing to actually do the things to get rest. So
Yeah.
we're trying to like find an end around to the problem.
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
what I'm
and actually, as I read this, it was very insightful and very like I loved reading it, and it was just cool to read. But I also felt like when I read articles I felt the same way that I feel when I read articles about fitness.
Yeah.
It's like I've heard all this stuff before. I know what I need to
You're like,
do.
oh no.
But I still look at my phone before I go to bed. So I think there's like this, it is good that we have technology and tools to like maybe help diagnose some little things we can tweak and twist, and definitely things like a mattress make a big difference depending on where you're at. But there are some very fundamental things where life is different now than it was back then.
Yeah.
And it really just comes down to we can either blame the time we're in and be victims of it, or we can say, you
Or
know
make
what?
better choices.
We need to-
make better decisions.
It's time to make. If I really want more sleep, it's time to make better choices. And
I just had a conversation in a counseling session earlier today where I said to someone, there's one question that I ask people in virtually every counseling session, and I almost always already know the answer, and I'm asking it for their benefit, not mine. And that is if a marriage is unhealthy, or a person, an individual is not healthy, the question that I will always ask them is, how's your rest?
yeah,
And I've never had somebody who's been in a crappy stage of life say to me, it's amazing.
yeah,
My rest is great.
yeah,
Now, most of the time, not most of the time, a lot of the time they think when I say, how's your rest, they mean your physical rest. And I do mean that.
yeah. It's part of it.
but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your physical rest. I'm talking about your soul rest, your soul care, your Sabbath, your rhythm, your cadence, your pace of life.
Yeah.
Not just taking a day off once a week, but taking time off every single day to go inward before you go outward.
Right.
And most people, A, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because B, they don't know how to do it. And C, even if I teach them, they still don't want to do it.
Right.
They want to find an end around because that answer seems too easy to them.
Yep. Yeah.
How can rest affect all of that? Well, my guess is I've never seen a study, but I bet you if you studied people who were really good at soul rest, I bet you their physical sleep is better, and I bet you their overall health is better. At least in their orientation to their relationships and to their career and vocation.
100%. Yeah, it all ties in together. We want to parse that stuff out. Like, oh, my physical sleep is different than, my soul rest is different than my emotional health. And a lot of them are really, really, I can't tell you how many times the reason I'm up late on my phone is because I'm trying to distract myself from something that I'm worried about or anxious about or don't want to have to face the next day.
Yeah.
And that it's all one big piece of the, it's all tied together. And
Well, you were reading that book, you put up that quote the other day on the gram from Richard Foster,
Yeah.
Celebration of Discipline, which I love that title because we don't like the word discipline.
yeah,
We want information as a shortcut. So like I remember this guy a couple of years ago, and I was like, well, why don't we start with getting you to a good rhythm and learning how to rest, and then maybe that'll end up helping all the stuff with your marriage that you're angry about. And he refused. He was so angry because that couldn't possibly be the answer. That couldn't possibly give him what he needed.
Yeah.
Just can't you give me a point or an information or whatever to solve this problem? And I'm like,
yeah,
I can't give you information to solve this.
Right.
It requires discipline.
yeah. Well, and the thing is information is inspiring. Like, you hear a point of information that you hadn't heard before, and you're like, maybe that's the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to buy what I need to buy. I'm going to download what I need to download.
whatever.
I'm going to, and maybe once I absorb, consume that content or, try to apply that information, then things will be better.
Yeah, just knowing it.
Right.
Yeah, but even G.I. Joe knew that knowing is only half the battle.
Indeed.
Oh,
G.I.
G.I.
Joseph.
Joe.
G.I. Joseph.
So wise.
So wise. Beyond his
Did you
years.
say G.I. Joseph?
Yeah.
That was so... Well, do you know what the word therapy means? The word therapy is a Greek word, and it means to minister.
Yeah.
And we have domesticated that word.
Right.
Where therapy today means give me the right information so that I can be cured.
Yeah.
And that was not the Greek understanding of that word. It was to minister to the whole self, the deeper self, not just the brain and the information.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, God, one of the very first things that happens in his ordering of the world around us is his commandment to rest, his commandment to us to Sabbath, because I think he knew that would be a hinge point this side of Eden in our ability to stay connected to him and for him to stay connected to us and for us to find balance.
Yeah. I think, have you found that, because we actually just had a conversation about this where I was saying, I agree with having a Sabbath. I agree with developing these rhythms of rest within my family life. And, now that I have a kid, I'm starting to think that way about things, And I think sometimes, I know I do, we overcomplicate it, right? It's like I have to have this whole plan laid out and we have to follow it. And so I wonder if you have any thoughts on what are sort of people listening that are like, I agree with what you're saying. I know that this takes discipline, but I don't know what a good first step would be. What would you say to that person?
Well, I just said it this morning. The person that I was meeting with this morning was like, I think they felt, even though they didn't say it explicitly, I'm in this stage of life with small kids. They dictate the whole schedule. They dictate the whole day. So like, I can't just like, drop a bag of Skittles on the floor and say, peace out, mommy's going to have a little Sabbath time.
Yeah, right.
As nice as that would be, so it's like, I'm going to have to delay what you're prescribing for another season. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
I think you have to, as a family, and so if you're married, let's say, you're going to need your husband's help, or you're going to need your wife's help to establish a rhythm. So, if you both work, that'll be a little bit more complicated. Those are discussions and decisions that you need to have. Is that healthy? If only one of you works, then, you're going to have to figure out ways to trade off.
Yeah.
So that you can rest.
Yeah.
Hey, this weekend, you should go spend the day with your friends. This next weekend, I'll go spend the weekend with my friends.
Yeah.
Then the other two is us as a family doing stuff together.
Sure.
When you come home, take your time, get yourself settled in, decompress for a minute. And then would you take the kids for a while so that I can just go for a walk?
Yeah.
So that I can just sit on the deck.
Yeah.
So that whatever that is, and then and then you can go when I come back, or whatever that is.
100%. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's so true that, and I do this all the time, when we think about disciplines, we think in such a binary way. Like, it's got to look this way or else it doesn't count,
Yeah.
It's got to be like this whole 24 hours of like peace and tranquility. And
That's not how it works.
well, but it's true with if you're learning something in sports. It's true with if you're learning if you're trying to grow in your spiritual life. It's true with this. It's like these small blocks add up, So
They really do.
So maybe you don't get a whole day to yourself, but maybe you get a 30-minute walk,
or
while
whatever
the other,
it is. Yeah.
Because
What's the alternative? The alternative is like then you go into escapism.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to naturally do.
Right.
So your body is telling you something, your soul is telling something when you go into escapism mode, and that looks like your kids screaming around you while you're on your phone.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well,
and that is not enriching at all. So
Right.
you're trying to shortcut something
Yeah.
in that moment when you could do something that actually bears fruit,
Right.
reaps benefit.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And I know we come back to this dead horse, but I might as well do it, man. Nothing interrupts your ability to rest like the devices you and I have in front of us right now. And if you just don't decide now, and I mean now, here are the boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm done. These are the boundaries. Husband, hold me accountable. Wife, hold me accountable. These are the boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm done doing this. I'm telling you, it will change your life.
Yeah.
Your brain is trying to give you shots of, endorphins right now and telling you, don't do it. We
That's
need
right.
the phone.
Yeah, we need it. Yeah.
But it's not true.
Yeah.
It's keeping you up later, so you're not resting physically. It's keeping you distracted, so you're not resting spiritually. And it's keeping you from your people, and so you're not resting relationally.
Yeah.
It's just a total interruption to your world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like 1 foot in and 1 foot out, all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's always on us.
Yeah.
And even if you're not holding it, looking at it,
Yeah.
the more you engage with it, the more your brain is there.
Yeah.
So just something to be mindful of for sure, especially as it pertains to rest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a great article. And
It
there
really was.
a lot of
Let's
really,
go to the next topic.
Okay.
That was great.
Yeah, that was good.
You know.
Do you watch SNL? Are you an SNL person?
I used to watch SNL a lot.
Okay.
My problem is that it, when politics reached fever pitch in the last few years, so did their comedy. It mirrored the politics of the age,
Right.
and I just couldn't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
So I used to really enjoy it. I
Yeah.
like sketch comedy.
Yeah.
But I can't watch it now.
Yeah. So I'll just say I'm a pretty late adapter to SNL. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
my in-laws watch it quite a bit, and so anytime we're there, we'll watch it.
I mean, there's a long history of great sketch comedy for my generation.
Yeah.
In Living Color, The
Yep.
Chappelle Show, all the way
man.
through to
Chappelle Show.
Yeah,
Chappelle Show.
but yeah, I tapped out. I think that's kind of what this article is about.
Yeah.
So like, I tapped out because of politics with SNL.
Yep.
But a lot of people tapped in.
They did. Yeah.
Because of Trump and what Alec Baldwin was doing
Yep.
with all of that
Yeah.
and whatever. So,
Yeah.
but go ahead, you lead.
So I don't, so I found Elon Musk was on lately, and I'm fiercely.
Yeah, when you said that, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I'm fiercely indifferent about Elon Musk. He's the closest we'll ever get to Rocket Man, not Rocket Man, Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Wow.
Yeah, Tony Stark. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Rocket Man's Elton John, but
I was just at the dentist, and Rocket Man was playing in the radio, and I think that's why I did that. Whatever. I don't really care about Marvel either. So, Iron Man. He's the closest we're going to get to Tony Stark, and because there's rockets and smartness involved. But I'm fiercely indifferent about him. But the fact that he was on SNL was like a big deal, I think, because he's a polarizing figure.
yeah, he doesn't fit in everyone's box.
Yes, he does not. To some people, he's a genius, and he's, paving the way for the future. And to other people, he's a, capitalist nightmare who's ignorant and,
Yeah.
is worse on Twitter than Donald Trump or whatever you want to say. So,
Yeah.
so I don't really care about that, and I don't even really care about SNL that much. But what I was really interested about, and what this article brought up, was like the fact that he was put there, and all of the stirring that caused, not just in the public eye, but actually within the cast and crew of SNL.
Yeah, like some people, didn't they threaten, like, I'm not performing that?
Yeah,
if
so a
he's
lot
there?
of the cast or crew people were like, I'm not down with this, I disapprove of it. They didn't like boycott or anything, I don't think, but they were like, this is not good, we don't, And I watched his monologue, and it was really awkward. It was, he had some sort of funny moments, but you can tell
Because he was a nerd in high school.
That's right. He's like
That's why he's so wealthy now.
Yeah, exactly. But like he clearly was extremely uncomfortable, and
He was not a thespian.
No, definitely not.
He was the guy in the lab.
Yeah. The one funny thing he did say was, he's like, I reinvented the electric car, and I'm sending rockets to space. He's like, I don't know why everyone's expecting me to be a cool, chill dude. Like, he's like, I'm weird. Like, so I don't know, whatever. But I think it's really interesting that, like, we can be so critical of something that is, like, attempting to be entertainment and levity.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of what I want to talk about. Is like, SNL, the other thing that the article mentioned about SNL that I always think is, so they have a week to prepare these sketches.
Which is insane.
It's insane. The article says it. The truth is that SNL is deeply flawed by design.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a season where you've got like the guys, there have been the golden eras where it's like, for them it's no problem. They've got chemistry and can make magic happen, and those sessions would have been amazing. Yeah, exactly. But that's so hard to do.
90 minutes of sketch comedy in 6 days with someone who's in the cast that has never done this before every week.
Exactly.
Go.
And who is an extremely polarizing figure.
Or in this case,
so there's just so much going on here. I think in the article, one of the reasons the article was interesting to me was it's like SNL doesn't know where it's going. And so it's like, here, let's try things and see what sticks, But even in light of that, like trying to do this kind of like interesting thing, everyone was like upset about that.
Yeah.
So I just like, why do we do that? Why do we critique things that aren't really that deep, bro? Like, why does it have to be so, everyone's just trying to like, provide some levity in the world. And
I don't know, man. We live in the most binary time that we've ever lived in, and all I mean by that is like, everyone feels the pressure to, like, there's a clear right, a clear wrong. There's a clear woke and a clear not. There's a clear, image, and that we want to portray, and there's a clear, anti-image, you
Yeah.
know, and so it's like we are not good with middle, moderate. We're not good with. We're just not good with any of that anymore.
Yeah.
And so so everything's been made so antagonistic.
Yeah.
That even things that they're just silly, we're fighting about.
Yeah.
We're upset about.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, when that's what we've been conditioned into now as a people.
Yeah. There's this show on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of it, Ginny in Georgia, or whatever it is.
I don't think so.
But there was a line in at least one of the earlier episodes that I read about where they were poking fun at Taylor Swift and like how many people she's been with, or, you know, in relationships.
Yeah.
And she like, you know, lashed out and like had this whole Twitter thing about in response to that, and like was calling them, you know, unprogressive, and, you know, I thought we were in a different day and age and stuff. And I just remember reading that being like, that, you know, no disrespect to her or anything, but it's like, it's like, can't we poke a little bit of fun at, like?
I saw a clip from one of Chappelle's specials, and I'm not endorsing Chappelle necessarily.
Oh, really? No?
No. I'm just saying. I saw this, and he basically opens, I think, something like this. He's you know, it was like right before the Trump election, and he was like, "Oh, I will destroy you if you do something I don't like. Who am I imitating?" And the whole audience was like, "Donald Trump."
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "No, that's all of you.
That's right. I think
That's
I saw
all
that
of
one.
you now."
That's right. Yeah.
And it was so poignant because he was basically attacking, you know, the cancel culture.
Yeah.
And that's what this is just more of.
Yeah, I guess so.
A
I guess
little
that's
bit,
it. Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
you know, because this shouldn't matter.
I guess that's it.
It shouldn't
you know?
matter that much.
Yeah, like, you know, have we completely lost the ability to just like, I don't know, reach across, you know, differing worldviews and like just like have a little
For
fun
levity.
without
for
it.
the sake of levity.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think it's just we have this like, you know, critical spirit within us sometimes that's like.
That's why comedians are lashing back so much right now, is because comedians, I don't know what the right word is, but they've been like modern day prophets almost, where, you know, comedy, stand-up comedy, has been the place where they can critique the culture through humor and will listen to it,
Right.
because it's through humor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But as the culture has embraced more, you know, cancel culture and political correctness at fever pitch levels, like a guy can't make a joke, even if he doesn't mean it,
Right.
without getting attacked as a comedian. And comedians are like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
this is comedy.
Right.
The whole point of comedy is we're going to say a bunch of stuff that we don't actually mean.
Yeah.
But the idea of it being true is funny.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and it's often said in, you know, in a tone that's outrageous, or, you know, with layer upon layer of sarcasm, and so they're able to say things that would be, like you said, really hard to receive.
Yeah.
But they mask it and saying it in these very extreme and funny ways, and that's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just there's so much that's, you know, there's so much effort put into, like, you know, bringing like equality to something that, like, maybe we just, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
The one thing that I took away from the article was, like, you know, without. So read the title of the article. It's something, I know it has to do with Trump, and I don't want to get into Trump, but.
Saturday Night Live is at a post-Trump crossroads.
Yeah, so what the article seemed to be intimating is we basically, we made a decision as an organization during the Trump era, which is to go after him hard, because that made for good comedy amongst our audience.
Yeah.
Okay, not nationwide, but to our audience.
Right.
So in other words, we made an industry of comedy out of polarizing figures. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Right.
He's gone now.
Yeah.
There's no way back.
Right. Well,
what do we do?
Well, that's the thing.
So we get Elon Musk.
That's right. We get another polarizing
We
figure.
get another polarizing figure.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're going to have to decide now,
Yep.
like, are you going to be okay with credit ratings for a while by picking non-polarizing issues and people to go after now that there are very few in the spotlight right now?
Yep.
Or you're going to have to stay on brand.
Yep.
Yep. And that's the crossroads I think that they're trying to figure out.
Yeah, and it's tricky. I mean, subject matter aside, like if you're part of a production or like and you got something that's working, it's really hard to be like, just for the sake of like variety, we're not gonna, have Alec Baldwin on this week. But he was like, with the SNL crowd, like you said, whether you agree with it or not, that was killing every week.
It was.
And so that, the human tendency is to be like, if it ain't broke, and now we're on the other side of that.
Now what do you do?
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I guess what I wanted to like just bring up with this was it's like rest and levity are kind of tied together, and that wasn't planned, but it kind of worked out. And
and Christians more and more are embracing industry and seriousness. And not that either of those things don't belong in Christianity. I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
We preach a very serious and solemn message of hope and grace and truth. We take seriously the things of God, the weightier things of God, like sin and hell and death. And whatever, we take these things seriously. We also want to be industrious. We want to be good stewards. We want to be busy with our hands full, hands to the plow, not looking back. So those are Christian principles to a point.
Yeah.
Because Christians ought to be also some of the most joyful people who can laugh because we've been set free from consequence and condemnation and from wrath. And so like we have a lot to be happy about and to be stoked about. And so we should be free to enjoy each other in silly, nonsensical ways that other people are not. And we also should be really good at rest and embrace rest and commend people to rest and and so we walk in both sides, not just the binary position of one or the other.
And the thing is, man, like if your soul is at rest and your soul is free, it allows you to not take yourself so seriously.
I know.
And things like this make me sad because I understand that people don't want other people to be hurt, and they don't want other people to be offended, and like I understand that, but I also feel like there's this tension and angst in people's hearts where it's like I can't enjoy anything unless no one is hurt by it.
That's impossible.
And it's impossible, and so it to me it's a little bit sad.
Every person who holds a microphone has hurt somebody in some way.
That's right. I mean, even back in like the when things weren't as aggressive as they are now, that was still the case,
That's right.
And so the gospel doesn't just, first and foremost, it frees us from the penalty of sin and and it brings us back to God the Father, but it also allows us to turn around in our life and do all the things you said, but also to walk with a buoyancy and be like, you know what?
And if there's somebody who's out there who's like, wow, that's not, show me that in the Bible. There's an entire book dedicated to it. It's called Ecclesiastes. Just read it. And if you get to the end of that book and you're like, I'm supposed to be this curmudgeon who's serious and working all the time, because you're going to have to wrestle with the fact that that book is full of things like work is vanity. It's vanity. So open a bottle of wine with the wife of your youth and enjoy the day.
That fortune you have, your son's going to blow it all. So good luck with that. Okay. Might as well enjoy today then.
Ooh, wow. Apparently things didn't go well in the Solomon household.
No, I don't think so. Not.
That's a good word. I think that's a good commendation. Why don't we end there?
Yeah.
And
Sounds
we'll
good.
see you all next week.
See ya.